to 326 polling units across the federation. They were our sample size for our election observation and monitoring of the elections. One of the first things I want to say about the elections is that um, only 32% of Nigerians, we would say, voted for candidates on the basis of their appeal or manifesto. Most of the votes that were cast at the National Assembly elections were on the basis of bandwagon effect.
Okay.
Bandwagon effect to the point that majority of Nigerians hinged their votes for National Assembly candidates. About 61.35% of them hinged their votes on things like party affiliation, the choice of their presidential candidates, as well as other factors that has nothing to do with the candidate's manifesto in itself. So that's one of the things I want to say about national elections. I will also say that to a large extent, it was the outcome of the election was very diverse, which shows we saw 7 out of 10 governors who decided to seek a seat in the National Assembly, the next National Assembly, lost their elections. Only 3 of them were successful. That's the 3 of them now being Sani Bello of Niger State, Dave Umahi of Ebonyi State, and one other governor who I would remember before as we progress. But 7 of those governors lost the election. We also saw that a couple of ex-governors also lost. Celebrities who sought a seat at the 6 of them sought seats at the National Assembly. Only 3 of them succeeded. But one thing that I would like to quickly drop here this evening is the fact that the outcome is not as important as the process. It's not the process is as important as the outcome. That's the point I want to make. And we saw that majority of the polling units didn't open on time. But I think that compared to the presidential election, which has been a subject of controversy, the National Assembly election was largely credible. That's my observation I want to put forward.
Okay, all right then. Most of the National Assembly results are now in. The APC held on to both chambers. The Labour Party and NNPP have picked up a number of seats. Who lost more, the APC or the opposition PDP?
I think it's the PDP that lost because other parties had very minimal showing before now. When I mean other parties, I'm talking about third force parties. As long as they are not PDP and APC, then we will just, for the purpose of this conversation, call them third force parties. They picked up seats. For example, you would see now that in the Senate, the Labour Party picked up as much as 6 seats, which wasn't. They didn't have up to that. They had just one senator before from Imo State, Senator Ezenwa Onyemuchi. And then you look at the NNPP, of course, had some seats in the Senate because of defection. YPP had one before. The SDP also again about 2 seats. So most of all of these seats, when you look at it, I think that the PDP lost more because the APC, like we've said, still retained their they eventually retained their majority in Senate. Then for the House of Reps, Labour Party has 34 seats. Sandra, 34 seats is a whole lot. And then for the APC to retain as much as 162, it means that the PDP could have done better. And then NNPP had as much as 18 seats. In fact, going back to the INEC list, I saw that Kano has 24 House of Reps members, and out of that 24, only 3 were won by the APC. The rest were NNPP. So you could as well say that NNPP, majority of their members are coming from Kano. So when you put this together, you will see that I think that the APC really achieved a lot from National Assembly elections compared to the PDP.
Lagos again, join the conversation 0700-993-993-993 01465-7190. Temidayo Ahmed Lawan returns to the Senate. He won his election after a controversial court judgment gave him the APC ticket. Is it safe to say that he will also remain as Senate President in the 10th Assembly?
That's a difficult one. It's a difficult one to predict because for a number of reasons, and my reasons would go outside the scope of um, what's obtainable in the Senate. It would to look at political dynamics, and one of this is the fact that yes, Ahmed Lawan has been in the Senate since 2007, having been in the House of Reps two terms earlier, 99 and 2003. So, by in terms of ranking, it's difficult that you would see anybody who is as ranking as he is, and this is a major consideration when you are choosing principal officers. Not to even talk about presiding officers like president of the Senate and his deputy. But a lot of things come into play. But while the APC officially do not have zoning in its constitution, you would look at the fact that the vice president elect Senator Kashim Shettima is from Borno State, which is just a neighboring state to Yobe, where the current president of Senate, Lawan, comes from. So when you add one and one together, would it be great for national cohesion? Would it be great for federal character for the Northeast to produce the number two and number three citizen? So it makes Ahmed Lawan's chances doubtful. But I know you might not ask this, but let me just chip in that I think that someone from the South is most likely going to be the Senate president. And there are a couple of names that already been bandied around.
Like?
Even before. Okay, so we have Senator Godswill Akpabio from
The South
Akwa
South.
Ibom. It's representing Akwa Ibom Northwest. He will be representing Akwa Ibom Northwest in the 10th Senate. He's one prominent face. You would even remember that he withdrew from the presidential race and endorsed the current president elect during their APC primary. So you would want to say that that might be one of the consideration that it was promised, because you saw the speed with which he went to now go back to Akwa Ibom and pick the Senate ticket, which again was controversial. Then there is Adams Oshomole, former governor of Edo State, former Labour leader, former APC national chairman, who is coming to the Senate for the first time. However, you cannot waive off the experience they have. I remember that in the 8th Senate, for example, Godswill Akpabio, as a PDP senator, was made the Senate minority leader, despite him being a first-term senator. In fact, in this current 9th Senate, Senator Ojus Okalu was made a chief whip, despite being a first-time senator. So because they are former governors, some of all these things compromises may be made. So Adams Oshomole is one of those persons that you want to look out for. There is also Ojus Okalu, I mentioned earlier, his body language all through the primaries, deciding to support Lawan initially. All of it just points to the fact that he probably would be putting his head in this race. And then these are the three major names that have come up, but in the game of politics, surprises are expected.
Now, from these three names that you've mentioned, two of them have quite the controversial history, quite the controversial resume, if you like. Ojus Okalu, not exactly popular, not exactly a stellar character. You can also say the same for Akpabio, right from when he was governor all the way to when he was at the NDDC, has that huge corruption case with the NDDC as well. What are the optics of having these men potentially end up as the Senate president of the country?
Sandra, I don't think that optics matter in legislative politics, because if it meant anything before now, I'm sure you know very well that Senator Ovie Omoagege, who is currently the deputy president of the Senate, was accused of leading talks into the hallowed chambers, as it's called, to snatch the mace in the 8th Senate. After then he was a senator elected on the platform of the Labour Party, I should say.
Right.
And then think about the audacity and effrontery if he actually did that. Somehow the case was brought up, but up to today is not charged, is innocent until proven guilty. But it doesn't remove the fact that these were things that were brought up, and it was rewarded with such a highly placed seat in the country. As far as I'm concerned, among the top 7 citizens by position, is one of them. And today he's also a governorship candidate of the APC in Delta State. So, what else is as optics? Other message would you send with optics if such a person could, who is alleged to have done that without properly clearing his name, is made the deputy president of the Senate? So, as far as I
So
can see,
optics isn't a consideration as far as
it ought to be,
legislative.
but
It ought to be, but
uh,
it isn't.
yes.
Okay. Now, apart from Lawan, did all the other principal officers of the 10th Assembly retain their seats?
Okay, I think it was a mixed bag, but generally most of them will not be returning. For the Senate, first of all, it's important to put it out there that for the principal officers, we have 8 principal officers and then 2 presiding officers. In the Senate, only 3 of these people will be returning back to the Senate. The first of them is Lawan. Ovio Omagege would not be returning, obviously, because he's running for governorship. He cannot occupy 2 positions at the same time.
Yes.
And then we also know that the Senate leader, Senator Ibrahim Gobi Abdullahi, currently ran for governorship in Sokoto, but he didn't get the party's ticket, that's APC ticket, and so he could not contest for the Senate seat. The deputy Senate leader, deputy majority leader, Senator Ajayi Borifis from Ondo North, he ran for the presidency, withdrew for the current president-elect, so he was not eligible to contest for Senate. Only Senator Ojus Okalu is among this majority caucus. That's the APC will be returning. The other Senator Aliu Sabi Abdullahi, who is the deputy chief whip. Senator Ojus Okalu is the chief whip. The deputy chief whip is not returning because his governor wanted to come to the Senate, and so he had to yield the ticket for the governor. Minority leadership, the much talked about Senator Philip Aduda lost his ticket to Senator Reti Kingibe. She won't be returning. He won't be returning, and she will be taking his place as a lawmaker, not necessarily in the PDP now. And then the deputy Senate leader from Kaduna, Danjo Mala, is also not returning. And this because he lost the primary. The minority whip, Senator Utazi, in the Senate, he didn't run at all in the primaries because his governor wanted to become a senator, and so they are from the same constituency. So that's for that. And then another person who will be coming also.
Who is his governor? Remind Lagos who his governor is, please.
Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi of Enugu is the governor. Senator Utazi is from Enugu North.
So both of them did not get the ticket because Ugwuanyi didn't get the ticket. And,
of course.
Okay.
And then Senator Shaibu Lau from Taraba is going to be in the next Senate. So out of all of these principal officers, these 2 of them are coming out of 8. And then, of course, the president of the Senate, Lawan, is the 3rd person being a presiding officer. For the reps, it's also a similar thing, but I think it's slightly different because most of the majority APC members who are principal officers in the House of Reps are returning. Speaker of the House of Reps, Femi Gbajabiamila, representing Surulere Federal Constituency 1, is returning to the House for his 6th term. The Deputy Speaker, Ahmed Idris Wase from Wase Federal Constituency in Plateau State, is also returning for a 4th term. For the Chief Whip, okay, let me start from the leader. The leader of the House of Reps, Dogowa, his own case is inconclusive right now. He was initially declared to have won the election in Kano. He represents Tundu Wada Dogowa Federal Constituency. But in the long run, INEC said that the result was declared under duress. In fact, it's even facing
murder
criminal
charges.
charges right now in court. So that one is still inconclusive. There is the
Yes,
deputy,
because INEC has even ordered supplementary elections for his constituency.
Yeah, so then there's also the deputy leader from Edo State, Edo Federal Constituency, Honorable Peter Akpatasin. Peter Akpatasin won his ticket, and so he will be returning. That's one of the persons that will be returning. The chief whip is not returning to the House, but is going to the Senate. He won the ticket for Borno. Is from Borno North. And then the deputy chief whip, the only woman among all the principal officers in the current National Assembly, Honorable Nkiruka Onyejocha, she's not returning. She lost her ticket to someone from the Labour Party, and
Okay.
she's from Abia State.
Okay. All right. Lagos, let's come to you now. 0700 01465 Did you pay attention to who you were voting to represent you at the National Assembly? The person you were supporting to represent you at the National Assembly, did they win their seat? Are they going to be representing you at the National Assembly? What were your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the current constitution of the 10th National Assembly? 0700 That's for men. Women, call us on 01465 We've got WhatsApp as well, so share your thoughts there. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. Hello. Oh, sorry about that. Give us a call back if you can. We've got WhatsApp too. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. We've got a message here from Bawo in Ikorodu. Bawo says, what I'll say about the elections for Senate and House of Reps was that it wasn't fair. Like your guest said, most voters voted along bandwagon effect of parties. 12 states were won each by the three top parties presidentially. So why was the Senate and House of Reps having over 50% majority? If we use bandwagon effect for over 60% of voters, APC shouldn't have majority in both houses. What do you say to this, Temidayo?
It's dicey because on one end you need to look at the fact that the APC also had governors who sought to join the next National Assembly, but they didn't. Some of them didn't win their seats, like Governor Ben Ayade of Cross River. So I think that it's slightly different. Why I would also think, because I've seen people say, oh, if social person says the presidential election was not fair and fair, why are they accepting National Assembly results? You know that why that's not the subject for conversation here. Sandra, you know that the INEC guidelines said that they were going to transmit results to the IRF portal, the result viewing portal. Mm-hmm. That was done majorly for the National Assembly elections. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't the case in the presidential election, which is, of course, the subject of controversy. So when you look at it from that point, it's difficult to say that results were mutilated or that we had that issue of elections being rigged. But this is not to say that people have not raised issues about certain constituencies. Some people that lost have said that they're going to challenge the results in court.
Right.
I know, for example, that Lagos too, there's that contention, but I think that's the case.
Okay, let's come to the phone lines now. Hi, how are you? Sorry about that. Give us a call back if you can. Good afternoon. That's unfortunate. Call back if you can. 0700993-993-993. That's for men. Women 01465-7190. Hello, thanks for calling.
Yeah, President Sandra, thank you.
Thanks for calling. What's your name?
Yes, thank you. What about Senator Ibikola Amosu? Then the three senators in Lagos, the one that represented the APC leader, the wife, Lagos Central. Then the other one from Ifako or the Solomon something. He didn't mention those names. Did Amosu come back?
Okay, thanks for calling.
No, Amosu is not coming back.
So Amosu isn't coming back. And then he was also asking about the senators from Lagos. How did they do?
Okay, the senators in Lagos, it's important to say that Senator Oluremi Tinubu is obviously not returning because her husband was contesting for an higher office, and of course that means that she had to support him, and so she didn't seek re-election. The current senator representing Lagos Central is Senator Eshinlokun, and he's a former deputy speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly. The only senator who is returning back in Lagos is the senator representing Lagos East, and that's Senator Tokumbo Abiru.
Okay.
And is representing Lagos East, like I said. Lagos West has a new senator because the former senator Solomon Adeola ported, if you like, if I'm allowed to use that word,
Yes, you
he
are.
moved to yeah his
Hmm.
state of origin, and then he's now he won his election, and so he's now the senator representing Ogun West. So he moved from Lagos West to Ogun West,
Mm.
but the former deputy governor to former governor Akinwumi Ambode, Idiat Adebule, Idiat Oloronke Adebule is now the senator representing, sorry, senator elect. She's not been sworn in. Senator elect representing Lagos West constituency. So those are the three senators for Lagos. For Amosun, he used to be he is currently the senator representing Ogun Central, but he contested for the presidency, if you remember. And so, if we are following the Electoral Act, he wasn't supposed to seek for another office, which is why he didn't get the chance to run again. So, it's off the radar.
Hmm. Let's come back to the phone lines. 99.3. Hello. Sorry about that. Give us a call back if you can. Let me see messages we've got on WhatsApp because we have a break coming up soon in about 40 seconds, which means I can't really take more calls. Fred says, Sandra, I followed the bandwagon effect because I don't want to see another assembly that is rubber stamp, and I won't. Another assembly that is rubber stamp and won't think carefully before approving for the president. I hope this happens. Well, I don't even know if that can happen because it does look like the APC has majority in both assemblies. Am I right?
Yes, they do.
Yes.
However,
Hold that
the
thought.
bad
Hold
bad.
that thought.
Okay,
Hold that thought. We'll
okay,
come back to it when we come back from this break, right? So
all right.
we know that the House of Assembly is currently dominated by the ruling party. When we come back, we'll talk about what that could mean for President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili. Don't go away.
You decide. Topical conversations that matter to you.
There are people for personal, religious, whatever reasons who do not want to take a vaccine. And I think they have the rights.
They cannot go to
president when he's sworn in May 29th. Temidayo, make that point you were going to make before the break.
Okay, so I was saying that as much as the APC has majority at current, it's important to know that I really still feel in some way that there would be a lot of there will be a lot of a kind of a strong opposition to the governing party because we have a couple of these parties put together form the opposition. In the House of Reps, for example, 325 out of 360 constituencies, elections have been conducted. We still have 35 left. But with the current arrangement, the APC has 162 seats, and the opposition parties, that's PDP, Labour Party, and all of those others, have 164. So if you look at the 35 elections that are left, there is still a chance that the APC may not retain a majority in the House of Reps. That is still very slim. It's too early to conclude. For the Senate, for example, the APC has 57 seats. Other parties has 49 seats. I think that with the 11 seats that are left, even if the APC eventually produces the leadership of the Senate, a case where you have more opposition members, then you are indirectly going to see the fact that voting on certain issues, you will need a majority to carry the day. And so if the opposition are united in their rejection of something, so it means that the rubber stamp label may fall off the 10th National Assembly eventually. So especially in the House of Reps, it means that there's a huge likelihood that you are not going to have this yes sir kind of arrangement. So I think that's something that Nigerians should look forward to. And thankfully, all of the elections were supposed to be conducted on the same day. Now, because of one issue or the other, some have been moved. 46 constituencies, both for Senate and then House of Reps, has not been conducted, which means that people would, if you don't want, perhaps you don't want a party to be majority, maybe this should inform how you vote in the next election.
Now, let's talk about what happens after they're sworn in later this year. The members of the Senate and the reps will, of course, elect their new set of principal officers. What will that process look like? Now, the goal of this show, this segment on Hard Facts, is to get people to be more aware of how the legislative arm of government works. So we have to operate on the basis that people simply don't know, which is why I'm asking you to walk us through, as detailed as possible, as graphically as possible, what the process will look like of selecting a new set of principal officers.
Okay, not so different from what has been obtainable in the past, except
what has been obtainable in the past.
I'm coming there. I'm saying that, except that perhaps there's a change, because it's possible that they also change their rule book before this assembly ends. But one of the things that to note, I'll just read directly from the Senate rule book, which I have here. In order 3 of the Senate rule book,